to, if you like a demo vocal that you just poured your heart into one take and you love that, it's hard to recreate with new words, new sounds.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just loses everything. It just loses all of the emotion, all of the sound that was there. So I try as much as I can to just rely on my subconscious and don't have to change so much.
With Ethereal Metal, and I'm joined here today by Tommy Karevik. I might have made a slight mistake though. I walked into RavenHill Asylum, and I'm not entirely sure I know how to get back out, but I've got Tommy here, so hopefully he can show me around. We're going to be talking about Dark Asylum today, the stories behind the songs, and what awaits us behind those doors. Tommy, welcome. How you been, man?
Thank you so much. That's a great introduction. Awesome. Love it.
I'll change it up a little bit.
Yeah, love it.
So before we get started, I wanted to ask, so imagine we just walk through the gates of Raven Asylum. I don't know what's real. I don't know who I can trust. And somewhere in these halls is the answer to why I'm even here. You spent a lot of time inside this world through these songs. So if you were the one guiding me through RavenHill, what's the first room you would take me to? And what would you want me to discover there?
Wow. That's a multifaceted question. Let me gather my thoughts a little bit. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the album, the overarching theme of the album, which is the Dark Asylum imagery, you know, where this asylum that kind of we're the prisoners of our own creation and in our own mind most of the time. Like, so what we want to convey at the end, you know, like, KAMELOT has always been the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, and that's kind of what sets us apart a little bit, I think, from just the dark, gloomy, you know, heavy things. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's important for us. So, you know, I would take it to maybe Ashen World, the song Ashen World, you know, that kind of cries out in despair a little bit. This has to, you know, we're stuck here. But the overarching, it kind of carries the overarching theme of the album, you know. Both of the singles actually do. Ashen World and Godlike Alchemy, in their own specific ways, carry the overarching theme of what we want to say, right? So what we wanted to say, in short, if we can, is that, you know, we might be stuck in our own messes and our own darkness, not finding our way out. But what if we don't have to look externally for this solution and salvation? What if we have already everything we need inside of us to find the light and peace?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the, you know, if you boil it down to these, yeah. So I would take it to the ashen world, just the overarching theme, you know, and walk you through the halls to start, to kind of set the stage.
That journey kind of through darkness really seems to be at the heart of the record. I know you said that, but there's also another element that makes this album especially interesting to me, and that's the very human aspect of it. Your voice has become such an identifiable part of the KAMELOT sound, but Dark Asylum seems to ask you to explore a particularly wide range of emotions, from vulnerability, introspection, to a much darker and more theatrical territory. Did this album challenge you vocally or even emotionally in ways that previous KAMELOT records have not?
I would say in a way, for sure, because the characters and the moods and the emotions that needed to be conveyed kind of they were asking for a different interpretation a little bit, like maybe even more so into character voice acting territory even, like if you want to have the vibe of someone that's like of a twisted mind, you got to kind of act that out in a way, and try to put yourself in that person's shoes. So yeah, there's a lot of desperation, there's a lot of pathfinding and despair even, but also in songs like Longing, for example, in songs Ivy, My Dear, for example, or what's I don't have the song titles in front of me now, so now I'm blanking out. Think of Me is the second title of the song. Enigma. Yeah, those are kind of love songs in a way, it just explores a different kind of emotion. So yeah, that's to recap what you asked. I think for sure it asked more diverse interpretations, I would say. Yeah.
I think KAMELOT has always done like that theatrical element really well. But the band also lives between metal, theater, cinema, but Dark Asylum seems to push even deeper than that, like really into that cinematic language. When you're recording these songs, do you actually visualize the characters and scenes you're singing about, or do you approach them from a more emotional perspective?
It's both. I mean, I tend to live with the songs quite a lot before, so I get the emotional gist of what I need to do, and a lot of the time it's the music or something in the music that dictates the expression or what I'm writing about in the moment. So sometimes you just from a certain chord progression or a certain melody, you get the lyrics for free almost, because they just pull the lyrics out of you in a way.
Yeah, it just lends it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting process, and it's always different, I would say. It's because I sit, I can't only speak for myself, I guess, but I sit a lot with the music before I put the pen to the paper, and it's when I put the pen to the paper, it comes out fairly quick, but I live with it for weeks.
Yeah,
before,
absolutely.
to just make sure I have the right idea of what I want to do. But it's always different too. Sometimes there's songs that I wrote all the music for, then you live with that song much longer because
Absolutely.
it's a process. Or sometimes I just get a track, from someone else, and then I need to shape the vocals and the lyrics to fit the mood and to fit what we want to say. So it's a little bit of both, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with a world where the listener isn't even sure what's real, that has to create some interesting territory for the person actually inhabiting these characters. And one of the most fascinating things on the album to me is kind of that line between reality, memory, madness, illusion. Everything seems extremely blurred. As the person delivering these stories vocally, do you need to know exactly what is real within the narrative, or is part of the performance embracing that uncertainty?
Yeah, good question. Really good question. Good questions in general, actually. Really fun to think
Thanks.
about. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's also sometimes you don't really know what you're trying to say before you said it. So it's like you have this idea of words that fit together a certain way, and but they are based in what you're subconsciously trying to say. So a lot of the times, as an example, I would sing dummy lyrics to get a melody down with phrasing, and because I'm very particular about phrasing and rhythm and
Of course.
delivery. And the sound of the word is really important to me. The sound of the word in the right spot. So sometimes you have this lyric that doesn't seem to make sense at first, but it makes sense when you go back to it because you already had the emotion and the everything. You might just need to change one word and then it makes sense. It
Absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
is subconscious writing somehow. And then it's really hard sometimes to, if you like a demo vocal that you just poured your heart into one take and you love that, it's hard to recreate with new words, new sounds,
Oh, absolutely.
and it just loses everything. It just loses all of the emotion, all of the sound that was there. So
Yeah.
I try as much as I can to just rely on my subconscious and don't have to change so much.
Absolutely. And I think that uncertainty also connects really strongly with the album's exploration of identity, the masks we wear, the things we hide, and ultimately what happens to those masks. Excuse me, and ultimately what happens when those masks start to come off.
Mm.
You said that salvation in this story isn't something found externally, but something that already exists within us. That's a surprisingly hopeful conclusion for an album that spends so much time inside darkness. Was that idea something you personally connected with while writing the lyrics?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's to me, and my, I guess my own spiritual journey over the last few years also, it has been much more into, face, what if you can just tune out the madness and go back to source and find the peace within yourself instead of asking for permission, for example, to a higher power or you know, it's all, to me, it's all the same. Whatever you choose to call God or whatever is your sanctuary in a way.
Yeah, sure.
It's to me, I call it source, and I think it's the same energy. It's just different names. What you call it, and I think we all, in my opinion, I think we're all connected. We're all love. We're all source. So we just need to find, rather than asking for permission or finding it elsewhere, we just need to tune into it because we already have it. We're already a part of love, source, light. So is everyone and everything. So I think peel the layers off rather than adding on to things.
Yeah, and I think something like that sometimes can be hard in a world that we live in where it's constantly being surrounded by so much outside noise.
Yeah,
Um, do you think that's ultimately what Ravenhill represents? Not somewhere we need to escape from, but somewhere we have to confront ourselves?
absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's, and looking around in the world, there's so much distraction, there's so much fear-based decisions and doubt and self-doubt, and it's all layers that you could strip one layer off,
One day at a time. Yeah.
at the time. And it's at least what I believe personally. But uh, I think it hits a nerve right now because of the way the world looks in it a little bit.
Mm.
And there's a lot of fear and fear mongering and all that kind of stuff. But we want to promote the that this is not a place we need to be stuck in. You can find your way out. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's really cool. And speaking of identity, there's another fascinating layer here for me. Not just the identities within the story, but your own identity within Camelot. You stepped into a band with an enormous history and a very passionate fan base. What was the biggest challenge in finding your own identity within something that already had such a clearly established identity? And at what point did Camelot start feeling like your Camelot rather than a band that you had joined?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's been 14 years now.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess it's enough time for it to start feeling like your own. But just yeah, it was of course it's a challenge. Anyone would understand it's a challenge to step into someone else's shoes. They're immensely loved and talented, and I would lie if I said I wasn't nervous about it in the beginning. And when I understood, I didn't understand the magnitude of Camelot before I started researching it, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
um, because but when I saw and when I understood, I just took it upon myself make sure in the beginning that I wasn't, like trampling all over sacred ground, like
Yeah.
that you have to take care of this, and so on. It was important for me to research what the songs, structure of the songs, what kind of vocals, what kind of melodies, intervals,
Exactly.
the melodies were used, and kind of work with that to make it not too far off what it had been before. Those were the first two albums, maybe.
Right.
And it's so funny because I read a lot of comments. I don't usually read a lot of comments because it can get you to dark places. But
Yeah, for sure.
but of course, there was a lot of people, writing about things, in the beginning, and I remember seeing like a lot of comments, like obviously the songs were already written. They had Roy's songs already, so I just sang them, but it was literally nothing was written, and it's so funny to hear people think they know things in advance.
Right.
But I
Always
took it
do.
as a
Yeah.
compliment because I had to do my homework to make sure that that was the way that people felt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But so from day one I wrote the melodies and the lyrics,
Yeah.
so I mean with help from Sasha and Oliver too in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. But now, I mean, now it feels like my band for sure since a couple albums. I think with Awakening, I started taking more space,
Yeah.
and I think with this
Yeah.
album, I maybe take even more space again, like
Mm.
exploring even more, like you said in the earlier questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think now, after all these years, you're not simply interpreting somebody else's world. You've become an integral part of shaping what Camelot is today, which brings me to some other voices we've gotten on this record. Uh, I think the band has always understood that the right guest isn't simply someone with a great voice, but it's someone who can become a part of the world that you're creating. When another vocalist steps into one of these songs, does their interpretation ever change the way you understand your own character or performance?
Uh, Let me think. Well, a good example would be um, we have the amazing Tobias Sammet on this
Yep.
album, on one of
Yep.
the songs, and that was very cool because I uh, was working on, when I knew he was going to be a part of the album, uh, I was imagining his voice, of course, and like what he would sound like, and
Yeah.
uh, wrote a part for him, and but then when I got it back, it was much better than would have hoped because
Ah, cool.
he, just hearing his expressions, and it instantly became his song to me.
Mm,
So I felt like
yeah.
I had less to do with it now because so I was more like an admiration of, wow, that's really cool, like that he did this with that, and
Very
we're
cool.
so
Yeah.
different. He's very musical, uh, but we're musical in different ways. So I would never have done what he did, which is what I like. I love that you get something back, that something is different, and he has his
Yeah.
trademark signature. And now I can listen as a fan.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
Very
So
cool.
that changed it. That changed, what I had in mind for it a lot when I heard it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. I also noticed there's a really cool piece of Camelot history on this album that longtime fans might catch. Um, Ranenvig, who appears on Beneath the Moon, she also sang on A Sailorman's Hymn from the Fourth Legacy back in '99. As someone who came into Camelot later, what's it like being a part of a record that connects these different eras of the bands?
Super cool. I mean, I love all the old stuff, and I love that song. So when I found out that she was going to be on the album, it's super cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of goes full circle in a way. Like it's still the same band, still the same, you know, but so many more years later, which is
yeah,
it just I don't know. Her voice also particularly has like a timestamp that's not, or it doesn't have a timestamp. It's like a universal, timeless voice. you know?
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
So it's like you hear something mystical almost, you know?
Yeah.
So which I really liked. So it's a great contribution, a little interlude or a little short song, actually, I would say.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that idea of identity, it isn't just present in the story itself, but you're also literally performing inside this world every night, which made me think about the relationship between the person on stage and the person underneath it. The album talks so much about masks and identity. As a performer, you literally step on the stage and become part of this larger world every night. Do you think there's actually a connection between the mask we wear in everyday life and the characters we become on stage?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's everything, I would say, everything that comes out on stage is, in the performance is anchored in some kind of emotion that you feel or have felt,
Yeah.
like, so it's definitely you just have I guess it's kind of like acting, but if you're really good at it, it's not like acting anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like living your emotions.
You're just living it. Right.
Yeah,
Very
because it's
cool.
something you've been through or it's something you can relate to really strongly. So, yeah, I mean, I always am, swept away by my own emotions when we play live. Like many times I don't even remember what happened after the
Mm,
fact.
yeah.
So it just happens, and it happens uh, a little bit differently every time.
Very cool.
So it's
Yeah.
like I find that to be the cool part because it's kind of like, whoa, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like we have the songs in a certain order, but you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I think musically, Camelot has reached a point, obviously, where people know the sound immediately. But part of staying creatively alive is knowing when to embrace what people expect and when to challenge it. After becoming such an important part of the Camelot sound, how do you personally know when a song needs to sound unmistakably like Camelot versus when you need to push outside of that comfort zone to discover something new?
Again, it's if I get a track and I hear this, there are tracks on this album that are a little bit less traditional Camelot,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
then I feel like you have a little bit more. Um, it invites you to do something that is a little bit atypical.
Yeah.
So it's either that, like if you have the music and it's not your template, if you say like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
do something different, you are allowed to do something different as well as a vocalist. But it could also be the opposite. It could be like many times I try to be the thread that connects passages and through the
Yeah.
sound of Camelot. So if a passage has an atypical Camelot vibe, um, I try to put a typical Camelot phrasing or something that they can, feel at home,
Yeah.
even in the
Absolutely.
music. So it's kind of being a little bit of a chameleon, trying to weave in and out of, and kind of be the thread that goes through the whole album that
Yeah.
people can hold on to in a way. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So in the past, I've also like played with duality. If, for example, the music has a happy vibe, you sing about something sad, or if the music has a dark vibe, you can make it interesting by bringing a little bit of a major feel or a happy, even if it's just the words you use,
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
to make duality a little bit. So you don't have to
Absolutely.
lean into exactly what the music tells, but it's all songwriting tricks, I would say, or like
Yeah. Yeah.
ways to make it interesting. Yeah.
Very cool. And I think emotionally throughout the album, I'm wondering, is there a song on Dark Asylum that you find particularly difficult or to perform or to be ready to sing, especially in front of people coming up on the tour? Not because it's technically difficult, but because of what you have to emotionally access every time you sing it.
Yeah, well, now it might be a little spoiler alert, but yeah, I mean, first of all, I haven't sang these songs a ton since we recorded them, because you live with the
Right.
song, you
Yep.
package it, and it's the next song, and then you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, I have to pick it up now because the tour is starting soon, and I have to get the songs under my skin again.
Yeah.
But it's the I would say everything that's stripped back and naked in terms of arrangements.
Mm.
you know, and for example, Ivy, My Dear, you know,
Yeah, I was just thinking
if
that.
we are playing that song. Not saying we are, but if we are, it has challenges because the music is very dynamic, and I love singing over that, but it's also emotionally, uh, what do you call it, revealing.
Yeah,
You got to be able to strip back uh, and convey the emotion because that's all there is in that song.
yeah,
So I would say the ballads, are, you know, because we go, you know, pedal to the metal for most of the set, and then be able to reset,
yeah.
take a few deep breaths, swallow your Adam's apple down a little bit, and collect your feelings,
Yeah,
and you know, be ready for that.
absolutely.
Or,
What does that song take you back to emotionally?
it's a song about longing, you know, but
Yeah,
if you you know, someone being your sanctuary, basically,
yeah,
something or someone, and in this case, though, we're being in the dark asylum. I was picturing a person in a cell, um, kind of looking out through the bars,
yeah,
you know, and seeing the moon, and that person or whatever he's singing about, Ivy,
yeah,
kind of symbolizes, you know, if you think about like Ivy uh, growing up the wall of the cell and kind of
yeah,
clouding his brain in a way.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so, but it could also be real. It could be something he made up, but it, you know, to escape this asylum, or it could also be real memories. You know, I'm going to let that be unsaid, but
yeah.
um, it's about longing. It's about finding sanctuary. You know,
Very cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you ask at the end, will you find sanctuary or will you wander its halls for eternity? After someone listens to Dark Asylum from beginning to end, what do you hope they carry out of Ravenhill with them?
Hope,
Yeah,
hope, because there's always hope, and maybe it doesn't have to be as dark as it many times seems. You know, if you just
absolutely.
could use the silence and sit with yourself and get to know yourself as good as you
Yeah,
can, maybe you will have a better chance, in my opinion, in our opinion, to find your way out of the darkness, which is, yeah, what I alluded to in the beginning. But
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so that I would say hope and light.
Awesome. Very cool. So before I let you go, I have to ask, with the US tour coming up, we've had the opportunity to cover Camelot here in the States in New York before, and it's always struck me how incredibly passionate the American Camelot audience is. What are you most looking forward to about bringing Dark Asylum to the US audiences? And is there anything about this album that you're particularly excited to see translated to the stage?
Mm, yeah, I mean, it's great. I love touring the US and Canada. I think it's like, you know, since I also take pride in we built it from the ground up basically during the
Yeah,
years I've been in the
yeah,
band. So it's now as cool playing there as it is playing in Europe, which has been our stronghold, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So it's really cool to see the organic growth for each record, and you know, every time we've tried to throw in an old song, a lot of the people don't know it because they started following the band
yeah,
later, which is to me cool, you know.
yeah, sure.
That's something I really look forward to. People are really respectful. It's cool. People of all ages. You know, it's really a really like great crowd to play for. It's very passionate and very devoted and loyal fans, I would say, that come out time and time again. But uh, I think what was the second part of that question? Sorry.
Oh
I
no,
think I
just that there's anything particular from that album that you're excited to see translated onto the stage.
right. That was what. I that's a hard one because with every tour and every album you released, you got to pick songs, remove songs from the set list because
Exactly.
you want to bring new songs in. which is
Yeah,
the toughest thing because you don't want to remove any songs. You want to add songs only. But we can't play for 4.5 hours, so we gotta be mindful. That's a tricky one, but it is to see how it's always to see how the new songs translate live, you know, and what people like, and you know, if we're gonna need to change another song out or something like that. Like I said, the ballads are always a standout for me, partly because I feel very connected to them. This Ivy My Dear I wrote again.
yeah,
And yeah, I think they do very well on the stage, but it's always nerve-wracking the first couple of nights because so much dynamic, so much could
absolutely.
happen,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah,
you're pretty naked when you do it. Pretty what do you call it? It's revealing.
yeah.
So it's yeah, but I think it's going to be great. I do think it's going to translate well, and I think people hopefully like it.
Absolutely. Tommy, and I know you guys are in the middle of tour prep. I can't thank you enough for spending time with us today to discuss Dark Asylum.
Well, thank you so much for I saw that you guys posted that it wasn't going to happen, and I was bummed because I really tried my best to be available for for you guys.
No, you
So
guys are the best. We appreciate the time that you're taking with us. It's awesome. For those watching, just remember Dark Asylum is out August 28th via Napalm. There will be a link below in the video description to pre-order, pre-save, and there's going to be tour ticket links below as well. Tommy, hope to see you out there. Can't wait to see you guys, and good luck with the tour.
thank you so much. That was an awesome interview. You're awesome. Thank you.